Hey, yo, how's it going, everybody? Have for y'all today the start of something pretty cool and something I'm very excited to be a part of, and that is going to be the Draft Premier League, which for those of you who don't know, Small Gun does this thing called SPL, the Small Gun Premier League, and they have like captains that bid on people to join their squads, and then they play in a bunch of different tiers and ultimately decide, I guess, who's the best of the best. And this is kind of that same concept. This was thought up by, I think, I know they're like top players, but I don't know exactly which people specifically came up with it. But this idea was thought up by some of the better draft league players out there, people that don't typically upload, but within the draft community they are known to be some of the best tier players. So there's probably going to be some people here that you guys may have not heard of, but trust me, the people who made this were, as far as I know, some of the best players around. Because if it's the people I'm thinking of, then yeah, it is. But I'm not like 100% sure on who exactly came up with this idea. Regardless, though, I think it's a pretty cool idea. This is very fun because, again, it's kind of like a Small Gun SPL, but for draft league players. So if you're kind of reading the rules here, basically each team has to have 4 Ultra Sun and Moon teams, and we're going to also be doing ORAS. So it's 4 Ultra Sun and Moon battles and 3 ORAS draft league battles, basically, and then it's best of 7, so you can play all your Small Gun ones, I think, and not have to do ORAS or vice versa, something like that. Well, yeah, win all ORAS and then 1 Small Gun, but you guys get what I'm saying. Best 4 out of 7 format each week, and essentially there was like 8 teams, 2 captains per team, and then there was just a bunch of bidding that was done for people. And if we want to take the rosters here, if we want to look at the rosters here real quick, these are the rosters. I am part of the Mahomies, hosted by my homies Jolt and Mr. Luck Sticks here. There's me, Marin, Varen, Specs King, Halu, Yorkin, Legits, Love Chance, and Virgie. So that is our squad here. I am actually going to be playing an ORAS, which I actually really wanted to do, mainly because I'm already going to be doing a whole bunch of 7th gen stuff on my own. So I figured, hey, why not kind of just dabble a little bit in ORAS? Again, dip my toe in there for this Draft Premier League thing, because either way, I'm super excited to be a part of this. I hope this becomes a regular thing. But yeah, this was our squad, and we ended up having to play, actually, the team right next to us, DPL's worst team right here. So I'm going to be taking on Ultra Player actually, round 1 here. But yeah, I'm not sure if some of the other people will be uploading their games, but I'm going to try and upload my games as well as some of the games that my teammates play, if I'm able to catch them while live recording. So at this point, we have already won our first game against DPL's worst team here. And if you guys want to take a look at our rosters, it was an 8-mon format. Obviously in ORAS there was no Z moves, so that's really good. That's one less thing we do have to worry about, but of course also a bunch of other things to factor in. But the way drafting was is that everybody, or each team, got their own pool, so we got to make our own team. So that's why there may be some busted stuff put together, but we all only had 100 points for 8-mon, so we had to make that work out as well as we could. So yeah, this is my squad. Here we have Kira, Black, Mew, Megalop, Scizor, Whimsicott, Seismitoad, Skuntek, and Jolteon. So overall, decent team. I liked it. I thought it was pretty alright. And yeah, I think with that, we can just jump right into the team preview and the match itself. Alright guys, so here's going to be our quick team builder and team matchup for our game of DPL. If you guys are excited for this, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. Let me know, for those of you who played 6th gen and 7th gen draft league format, which was your favorite? Did you enjoy 6th gen more, or did you enjoy 7th gen with the introduction of all the new mons and broken Z moves? So yeah, let me know in the comment section below. But taking a look at the matchup here, Ultra Player, from what I've heard and from what I've seen, is a very solid battler in his own right. Definitely not bad in any means. So we do have we have something cut out for us. We have our work cut out for us. I just drew a complete blank. What am I talking about? I have so much going through my head right now, because after this I have to do something else as well regarding battling. So yeah, I'm going to try and hopefully get these up within this up before I have to do that, but we'll see how things go. Regardless, though, you guys will be getting this and potentially a second video, because I do want to live record some of the games that my teammates play. So I think one of them should be playing very soon, so I'll probably record that and then upload it later tonight as well for a double upload. But looking at the matchup here, my Kieran Black pretty much just puts Ultra's team into Kafagrigus. Like, there's nothing really he can do to stop me outside of Umbreon. Like, once Umbreon is gone, Mixed Kieran Black just comes in for free, and things just kind of die. So that's really good. I did want to bring Bandit, but Bandit really is not the best because of him being able to potentially switch into Mamoswine. Also, he can pivot between Skarm and Mega Venusaur, so Mix just kind of gets rid of that, and then we have Roost to nullify our leftovers because, not leftovers, sorry, our Life Orb. And then because of speed tiers, we don't need to run max speed on this Kyurem, or just or not a plus speed nature. Alternatively though, his Mamoswine can also do the same. It can pretty much just run Adamant Choice Bandit, and that's very, very scary to deal with. So I 100% Mamoswine to come to this game. Manaphy potentially with a Wackenberry or maybe even Scarf could be kind of cool, but I don't expect regular Manectric because of Seismitoad and Jolteon, and then I don't expect Kofagrigus at all either because of the fact that we can still apply pressure, and I think Manaphy has a better matchup than Kofagrigus in general here. So yeah, Bruce, 3 attacks, Life Orb, Kyurem, it just kind of wins. Next up, we have a very cool tech. I think this was suggested by one of my teammates. I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Marin, but I don't think it was Marin. I'm not sure, but one of them was like, hey, why not bring Scarf Scizor? Because Latios is actually a little bit annoying, and I really doubt he's going to expect me to be Scarf Scizor, so we can maybe catch that off guard early game. We can also potentially catch off guard the Manaphy, or if he for some reason has like Scarf Mamoswine, which I really don't think he should bring, we can maybe outspeed that and catch it off guard as well. But with the speed, we are able to outspeed his entire team if he doesn't have a Scarfer, and then we just have knockoff, defog, and superpower there just as other moves. Honestly, the only real thing Scissor's going to be doing in this match is most likely clicking U-turn. Knockoff is just kind of there for Kofagrigus and I guess items, and then defog is defog if he wants to try and hazard sack, and then superpower, I could have literally just had no other move, but superpower I guess does something. So yeah, Scarf Scizor, hopefully it does something. We have Air Balloon Skuntank. Shouts out to Joel. Joel actually helped me touch up this team the night before I played this match actually. So we have enough speed to outspeed Mamoswine. You're gonna see that's gonna be a theme with this team. We have enough speed on everything to outspeed Mamoswine. And the cool thing about Skuntank in this match is that with Toxic and Fire Blast, I hit Skarmory and Umbreon already. If I get rid of Skarmory, then Scizor wins. If I get rid of Umbreon, then Kyurem Black wins. So that's kind of the idea of Skuntank in this game. Also, Sucker Punch is really nice for the Latios if maybe we win a potential Pursuit mind game. If I bring it in on the Latios, maybe he'll think I'll go for Pursuit expecting to switch. He'll stay in attack, I Sucker Punch him, do a really good chunk of damage. And then finally off, we just have Foul Play because this does a pretty nice amount of damage to Mamoswine. So yeah, again, I really don't think he's going to run like Jolly Mamoswine. Jolly Mamoswine has literally zero reason to come to this game. So me and Jolt just kind of stuck on going with enough speed to outspeed Adamant Mamoswine, because he could also just be like a bulky Bandit set, which is very likely, but it's still safe to run up to 260 speed to ensure that we outspeed Mamoswine. So next off, we have Mew, which I guess is like our best switch in to Mamoswine, even though we just kind of die. But I guess the scary thing about Mamoswine is that if it's at full HP, that means I'm going to have a much harder time in revenge killing it, as where if I'm able to get off some type of damage on it, I can then bring in something to revenge kill it because of its very low speed. And if it's bulky, then us being faster than it with everything is even better, because again, we just need to get off that initial hit, and then Mamoswine should be able to be forced out. Rocks are going to be really nice, especially for Kyurem Black, to be able to ensure just obliterating anything it wants to in this game. Being able to taunt Umbreon potentially and stop it from wishing is going to be really good. Even Scald burning it I guess wouldn't be too bad, even though it does synchronize over. If it has Heal Bell, we can just taunt it and stop it from going for the Heal Bell. And then Scald burns are really stupid in ORAS because it's 12% damage instead of 6% damage like it was in 7th Gen. So if we burn Umbreon and something like Mega Venusaur already has no natural or neutral recovery, sorry. It has Synthesis and Leech Seed, but it doesn't have access to Black Sludge or leftovers, and even though Umbreon will have leftovers, it's losing 12% instead of it being neutral basically. So it's still losing 6% even if it has leftovers, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, speed again is just for the Mamoswine. Next off, we have Whimsicott. I'm hoping between Whimsicott and Skuntank that Latios won't be entirely too scary. A very offensive Latios seems likely as well in my opinion, so definitely have to watch out for that. This can also act as a revenge killer to Manaphy if it really comes down to it. I did kind of want to try and fit Encore on here, but the nice thing about Endeavor is that this can surprise Skarmory or Mega Venusaur. I know that Rocky Helmet Skarmory seems also likely to come to this game, but Endeavor is one of those moves I can kind of just keep in the back, and then if he thinks that I'm just going to sack off my Whimsicott to Skarm, I can then Endeavor as he goes for the Brave Bird. Skarm is gone, Scizor basically puts in the work, And then Endeavor's also really good for the Venusaur because I can severely weaken that as well. And then I already Moonblast the Umbreon for decent damage. So yeah, Whimsicott and Skuntank should be able to hopefully deal with his really fat defensive core, or just weaken them for Scizor and Kieran Black accordingly. And then our final team member here is going to be our second Air Balloon Mon, which is Jolteon. So yeah, we're rocking double Air Balloon as our switch-ins to Earthquake Mamoswine with the Choice Band, because again, like, Choice Band and Mamoswine in this matchup just looks so good. Like, why would you not bring Choice Band and Mamoswine to this game, honestly? I guess if it's Life Orb, it's still scary, but it's a little bit easier to deal with, and then above that, it's already weakening itself, so Bandit just makes so much sense, I think. So yeah, we're hoping, or the idea is that there's no way he's going to expect us to have double Air Balloon, so maybe one can switch in, and then he's like, oh, he's got Air Balloon on that. No way he's got Air Balloon on Jolteon if I showed him Air Balloon on Skuntank, or no way I have Air Balloon on Skuntank if I showed him Air Balloon on Jolteon, right? So that's kind of the idea, and if it is locked into Earthquake, that basically gives me a free turn to do whatever I want, and I can definitely take advantage of that. And we also do have a pretty good amount of momentum to be able to bring in Kieran Black here. We have a double U-turn with Volt Switch here, so Kieran Black can come in. If he doesn't bring Manectric, then Volt Switch is more or less free, honestly. I have HP Grass for Mamoswine, which I think should be a 2-hit KO depending on how much bulk exactly he is running on that Mamoswine. Then Shadow Ball is just there to be able to hit the Latios for some type of super effective damage, because we can go with a Modest Nature this time around. We don't have to worry about going for Timid, and this Jolteon's really not going to be doing entirely too much, I think, in the long run of the battle. So yeah, that is our squad, guys. With that, let's jump into the actual battle. Alright guys, so we got our matchup here. So as expected, Manectric did not come, but he decided to bring Kofagrigus over Manaphy, which is still fine. I think, like, we should have measurements to deal with Kofagrigus, so I'm not entirely too concerned about it. And I'm sure you guys are probably thinking, well, Kofagrigus can deal with Megalop. Yeah, but then Mega Venusaur and Skarmory can also deal with Megalop, and again, Rocky Helmet Skarm just seems entirely way too likely to come to this game. But looking at the matchup here, the game plan is still the same. Like, Kieran Black just puts in so much work, and then if we can Toxic Umbreon or just weaken it, he can't switch into Kieran whatsoever, and then Scizor just kind of wins when Skarmory is gone. And then, of course, Mamoswine is absurdly terrifying. So I was actually thinking about leading off with one of my Air Balloon Mons immediately, because he could have also just led Mamoswine right away, but he would probably be fearing that I would lead Scizor, expecting him to lead Mamoswine, so I guess that was out of the question there in the long run. But I felt that regardless of what he wanted to lead with, I don't think he'll lead Kofagrigus or Umbreon. Maybe Mega Venusaur or Skarmory were also his potential leads along with the Mamoswine, and I don't think you lead Latios either. So I decided to lead off with my Mew here. Mew, again, just has such a good matchup against everything. I can also potentially get out my rocks turn 1, depending on what exactly he wants to lead with. As he leads off with the Skarmory here, I'm going to go straight for the taunt. I thought about just going straight for the rock, but I figured if he does have Toxic on this, it's going to be in my best interest to just go for the taunt. Even if he switches in Umbreon or Kofagrigus, I taunt them, and then from there I can get up my rocks the next turn potentially, or switch into something accordingly. As he does try to go for the spikes, he's going to switch here into Mamoswine as I do get up my rocks. Now, this is actually really good for me, because this was not a scenario that I was thinking that was going to occur. I figured that anytime Mamoswine came in, whatever I had in against it was going to be forced out. So I switch something in, something either gets destroyed, or I bring in something with Air Balloon. But because he brought in Mamoswine against my Mew after I got up my rocks, I know I can easily live at least one hit from this Mamoswine, and I want to go for the Scald. Not even an Adamant Choice Bandit knockoff should be enough to knock out my Mew. And then if he is Bandit, I outspeed him next turn, and Scald could also burn him or potentially knock him out here. So regardless of what he wanted to do this turn, I'm going to leave in my Mew to take the hit and go for the Scald. As it turns out that he is not running Jolly as me and Jolt anticipated. He is running Adamant. We do a solid 43% and we get the burn. Now, honestly, this burn is huge. This is tremendously huge, because now this Mamoswine, if he doesn't have Heal Bell and Umbreon, this Mamoswine basically does nothing whatsoever, and I'm literally not even concerned about it. As he switches into the Latios here, blah. I figured Roost was way too obvious at this point, but because Mew was mostly here to kind of switch into Mamoswine, I figured that with it being Burn and confirming the fact that we are faster than it, I don't need to go for Recover this turn or Roost or whatever. I can just be aggressive and try to go for the Scald, Burn, maybe go for Gigas or Umbreon or Mega Venusaur, because at this point he knows my entire set. He knows I have Scald, Taunt, Roost, and Stealth Rock, so his defensive Fat Mons on the bottom row here could have potentially switched in, but he decides to bring in the Latios, and I get another burn. I would have been happy with just the burn on Mamoswine, but the burn on Latios is actually really nice as well, honestly, because now I get some type of residual damage on this thing every single turn without having to do anything. And again, burn in 6th gen is 12% instead of 6%, so that's going to start racking up very fast, as he makes a very excellent double switch here into the Venusaur, anticipating my switch into Whimsicott most likely, or even potentially my Skuntank. I figured Whimsicott was still my safest play, because if he was something like Specs or Life Orb, then I don't want my Mew to take that hit. So I figured switching here into Whimsicott was a safe play, but my best play I could have done, as he makes a nice double switch into the Venusaur. I am going to just put this on fast, because you're going to see that this Venusaur actually ends up being a rather big nuisance. And because I did burn Mamoswine and it's already so low, I really feel like I don't need my air balloons on Skuntank or Jolteon whatsoever, so I can kind of just be aggressive here. As he reveals to have HP Fire, he pops my air balloon. That's fine. I go for the Fire Blast, and what do you know? I get another crit. Now, yes, this was very lucky on my end. Scald, I mean, it's 30%, so you can't be too upset about it on Latios or the Mamoswine, but the 10% burn on Mega Venusaur, this actually kind of sucks, and it is going to be a little bit helpful for us, because now we can start getting off that nice little bit of chip damage on this Venusaur. And again, if he does not have the, what's it called, the Heal Bell on Umbreon, half of his team is already burned. Having this Mega Venusaur burn is really good, but the issue still stands that I need to get rid of Skarmory or Umbreon, so Scizor and Kieran Black can hopefully put in some work. So Fire Blast did absolutely zero, so I don't really feel comfortable in staying in here, and I figured he's not going to go for a Sludgemon, because obviously that's going to do zero to my Skuntank. So as he goes for the Synthesis here, I hard switch directly into my Whimsicott. I was kind of hoping he would expect me to go for the Encore here, as he does actually switch into the Skarmory on my U-turn, and this is really good because he was most likely fearing the Encore there, because I Encored him into Synthesis, and then I just bring in Kyurem. But now I bring in Kyurem regardless, as Rocky Helmet is confirmed. But what I can also do is most likely just bring in Jolteon here to ensure trying to KO this Skarmory. I guess in hindsight, well, no, because it doesn't really matter, because as you see here, he's going to sack off Mamoswine, so he doesn't give me any type of momentum. So if I had brought in Kyurem here, he would have he would have sacked off Mamoswine, and then it would have been my Kyurem in here instead of my Jolteon being in here, as he's going to go for the Ice Shirt just to get off some type of damage on me. But because of the burn, even if he is Adamant Banded, that does pretty much zero. And because I've been trying to keep up offensive momentum, if he does have Heal Bell on the Umbreon, I have not given him that chance for it to come in. As where, now that the Mamoswine is gone, if he did have the Heal Bell on Umbreon, he could have brought in Umbreon here, but then I can Volt Switch into Scizor, or I Volt Switch into my Whimsicott, and he still doesn't know if I have Encore or not. So yeah, he could have got rid of the burns on Mega Venusaur and Latios here, which would have actually made this Mega Venusaur a little bit more annoying to deal with. I'd rather have Mega Venusaur burn than Latios, but if he did get rid of the burns here, if he did have Heal Bell, that still would have been a nice play on his part, but it's still a play that I would have been able to take advantage of, and it would have lost the momentum, as we're now here, he knows I don't really have a good switch into this Venusaur whatsoever. So I don't expect him to want to go for the Sludge Bomb. I really think he's going to want to go for Elite Seed, which is why I make an aggressive switch into my Whimsicott. This was also a little bit risky if he did want to try and go for the Sludge Bomb, but he goes for the HP Fire. That's perfectly fine by me. I'm gonna go ahead, just U-turn on out of here. If I did have the Encore, I'm not in a position to do it, and with this Mega Venusaur being consistently chipped down because of the burn, I can just bring in Kieran Black, and now I click Ice Beam. Sir, pick something to switch in and get smacked. So he does end up bringing in the Umbreon, as we do a solid 29%. Obviously that's not like anything spectacular, but this is an Umbreon. It's naturally fat. I don't have a lot of special attack investment on this Kyurem regardless, so getting off any type of damage on Umbreon on the switch in is really good. And this is where I kind of wish I was banded, because I could have just clicked banded outrage, but then again, like Skarmory could have switched in, and that's a whole nother problem in itself, especially if it starts getting up spikes, because entry hazards are going to be rather annoying. So I don't want to stay in here and potentially lose half of my HP to a foul play, so I make an aggressive switch into my Whimsicott. Much like earlier, if I have Encore, I can easily go for it, so he's going to be expecting that again, and I'm going to go ahead and U-turn on out against the Skarmory. And it's actually really good for my Whimsicott. The more I'm getting chipped down by Rocky Helmet, the more scary Endeavor's looking for this Mega Venusaur. And even though Mega Venusaur necessarily is not an offensive threat, it is kind of a defensive nuisance, so getting rid of that is going to be super nice. As I go straight for the Volt Switch here, I guess in hindsight I could have gone for the Thunderbolt, and I kind of wish I had done that actually. Well, it doesn't really matter, because what I wanted, yeah, because if I had my Jolteon in here instead of Kyurem, then Latios never comes in for free unless he's running Scarf Latios. So I get a kill here with Kyurem. I think in hindsight, Thunderbolting there was actually my better play in the long run instead of going for the Volt Switch, because he does just bring in Latios, and I still don't safely switch into this Latios whatsoever. So I'm going to try and sack off my Skuntank here, but he actually ends up going for the Hidden Power Fire. Now this is where I mentioned earlier about the potential Pursuit mind games. So if I have Pursuit here, I can definitely go for it and either die to whatever move he goes for, or Pursuit trap him as he tries to switch, or he will switch out thinking that I'm going to go for Sucker Punch. Now he does not know I don't have Pursuit, but he still has to think about that as I brought in my Skuntank here, because even if I lose Skuntank, it doesn't really matter, because his Latios is taking Rog's damage, it's taking burn damage, and then I can still just bring in my Scarf Scizor and Revenge Kill it, or even Jolteon Shadow Ball after burn damage should be able to knock him out. And if he switches, that's still perfectly fine with me. So I do decide just to go for the Sucker Punch. I guess I could have gone for the foul play, but it doesn't really matter in the long run of the game here. As in comes the Umbreon. This is the first chance I've given Umbreon for a free switch in, so I'm going to try and go for the Toxic, hoping that he doesn't have the Heal Bell, as he actually ends up going for the Wish. This is fine by me. I'm just going to start going for the offensive plays here as I Fire Blast. And he turns out to have the foul play here. I'm going to go for the foul play again of my own. Unfortunately, though, it does turn out he has the Heal Bell, which means he gets rid of the burn on Venusaur and on Latios. I'm more concerned about it being off of Mega Venusaur than Latios, but I am in a position where I can honestly just kind of spam Toxic here if I really wanted to. So I'm going to go for that as he goes with foul play, knocks me out, and takes the aftermath damage. And after this Toxic, he is in range of where 2 Moonblasts from my Whimsicott will be able to knock him out. Now, the significance of that is that he can either try and take the hit and go for Protect, Heal Bell into Protect, and hope that I don't have the Encore, which again, he still does not know what my final move is, and if it was Encore, I can severely mess up this Umbreon. But regardless of what I want to do here, I figured me going for the Moonblast is probably still my better play, because if he does switch out, with Umbreon being at 60%, it's not going to be able to live 2 hits from my Kyurem Black. So I've been able to do what I wanted to do against Umbreon, weaken it to the point where it doesn't switch into Kyurem Black, or just weaken it to the point where Kyurem Black straight gets another KO. So I'm going to bring in my Scizor here, go for the safe U-turn. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done this play. Is it this turn? It might be this. No, hold on. It might be next turn where I really misplayed. Yeah, because what I could have done, instead of bringing in Scizor, sorry, I had to remember. Instead of bringing in Scizor, what I should have done here, hold on, let's see, where's the turn here? Instead of bringing in Scizor to go for the U-turn, I should have brought in Kyurem Black and just gone for the Dragon Claw. Reason being is that even if he were to bring in Latios on my Kyurem, I can then just sack off my Jolteon, which honestly at this point Jolteon doesn't necessarily do anything important for me whatsoever, because Kyurem still just obliterates Kofagrigus and Mega Venusaur, and then I have Scarf Scizor to be able to outspeed that Latios, and I still also have the Mew to potentially be able to deal with the Latios. So yeah, I think that's like the one play I really regret in this match, as I Shadow Ball Mega Venusaur. That crit doesn't really matter, it still would have been in range of my Kyurem, and now I click Ice Beam and he's got to pick something to get destroyed. Now throughout this entire match, I never really paid any mind to Kofa Grigas. And this is where it started to dawn on me. If this is a nasty plot trick room life orb Kofa Grigas, then it actually just wins potentially. So I need to be very careful with that. On the other hand though, I need to first try and deal with this Latios. So do I sack off Kyurem here? Which is not the play actually. I need Kyurem 100% to be able to deal with Kofa Grigas. Or do I decide to sack off Scizor or my Mew? So at this point, I'm debating, do I sack off Scizor or do I sack off Mew? In the end, it's probably better for me to sack off Mew because I need something that is still able to outspeed this Latios. And if anything, I do have the, the knockoff on my Scizor. So I decided to switch into my Mew here just thinking I was going to die to a Draco Meteor. There was also a chance he was going to go maybe for HP Fire expecting me to bring in my Scizor, but that was way too risky in my opinion. And because he did go for the Dragon Pulse, sorry, I bring in my Scizor here, and I am going to be able to live the hit, but instead of going for the knockoff, which actually I think might have been a little bit better for me if I knocked off here, I decided just to go for the safe U-turn. He's not Scarfed as I am able to outspeed him, and now in comes the Kofa Grigas. As long as he is not Life Orbed, my Kyurem Black can two-shot him. So even if he's quiet nature, max special attack, just as long as he is not running the Life Orb, then I still win this match essentially. So it pretty much comes down to whether or not he is Trick Room offensive with Life Orb essentially, which is very unlikely. That's just kind of worst case scenario right now. As he eats the Ice Beam, turns out that he's Calm Mind. Dragon Claw will be enough to finish him off, and that is going to be the 3-0 victory in my favor. So now we are up 2-0 against the DPL's worst team. So yeah, week 1 looking pretty good for us. Hopefully we can continue this little ride here. But if you guys do enjoy this, hit that thumbs up button down below. With that being said, I will see you all later tonight probably, or definitely tomorrow. So thank you all for watching. Later everybody.